How's everybody doing? My name is Justin McKechnie, for those of you who don't know, and this is my Footnote project. So the footnote I chose was in Chapter 5, Freeze a Yankee, on page 178, and it was referencing an article called A Meow in Search of an Enemy, which was published by Russell Baker in the New York Times in April of 1977 after President Carter addressed the United States and called the energy crisis a moral equivalent of war, or meow. Now, before I get too far into this presentation, I was going to share a video clip, but for some reason the screencasting won't put the audio of the YouTube video in. But I still wanted to show this little image right here. So if you look closely on Carter's desk during the address, he actually has a plaque sitting there that says "The buck stops here," which I thought was kind of interesting and a little treat he put in there for us, considering this address was a sort of call to arms and a warning about the future of America and future generations of Americans if we aren't able to curb our dependence on foreign oil imports, and limit our consumption of oil. Get back up here. Perfect. So a little more background. So Carter addressed the nation on April 18th of 1977. His address mostly focused on America's dependence on foreign oil imports, and consumption of oil by Americans. During his address, Carter did address. My bad. Sorry, that's kind of irritating me. I'll move that out of the way. Carter introduced 10 principles, but really no specific actions at the time, although with the end goal of cutting America's dependence on foreign oil from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia, as well as reducing Americans' consumption of oil. I went ahead and I did list the 10 principles. If you wanted to pause this really quick and read through them, I won't read through all of them for you. But all of them focused on implementing policies and procedures to limit and cut back our consumption of oil, as well as cut back our importation of oil in order to protect ourselves from future oil embargoes and such. That way America isn't as vulnerable, because not only was this about the environment and for future Americans, it's also a national security concern, having a foreign country have that much power over us just by cutting off the oil supply. Here are the last of them, last 5. As you can see, if you do read through them, a few of them Carter was able to push past Congress, like creating a new Department of Energy, which the book touched on quite a bit. So now if we go back here ways. So if you read into the article, Baker asserts that Carter will most likely fail in conducting a meow or moral equivalent of war for a couple points. America has never fought a moral equivalent of war. What does a moral equivalent of war look like? Who were we fighting against? And in that end, Carter asserts that to enlist more support and gain public support of this moral equivalent of war, Carter's going to need a more scarier and prolific enemy than the energy crisis, such as the oil or coal companies. Because at the time, in the 70s, a majority of Americans didn't even believe that there was an energy crisis. Most of them believed that the energy crisis was manufactured by oil and coal companies and other energy companies in order to raise prices and fleece their pockets even more. Now, what I did think was somewhat interesting, that's why I put it up here, it's the third one down. Baker asserts, despite it sounding, Carter's policies are no pussycat affairs. Perhaps his meow will be worse than his bite. And that's because the principles that he listed in his address and the policies that he was going to try and push through Congress did have some bite to them. They're quite extensive and would have some overarching effects over America and the economy, as well as our future. All right. I thought this was pretty interesting. I'd like to encourage all of you to kind of read that article. For the 1970s, it was quite good. I'd like to thank you all for watching and have a good day. Bye.